The ship shuddered violently as a thunderous impact rocked its reinforced hull.
Alarms blared in deafening unison, bathing the dim cockpit in flickering red light. Captain Aeliana Drayke gripped the edge of her seat, her knuckles white as she barked orders to her crew. Status report now. Lieutenant Commander Thane Voss, her grizzled second-in-command, scrambled at the control panel. Massive energy spike detected. Unknown origin, damn it, it's pulling us in. Through the viewport, an ominous black void churned where space itself seemed to fold and writhe. It had appeared without warning, swallowing stars like a living wound in the universe. The sight was as beautiful as it was terrifying. That's not a natural phenomenon, muttered Dr. Leora Vera, the ship's xenobiologist. She stared, transfixed, at the anomaly, her voice shaking. It's alive. Aeliana tore her gaze from the void to the rest of her crew. Evasive maneuvers. Full thrusters! The Eclipse Harbor, humanity's last ark, groaned under an invisible force. The ship was designed to carry the last remnants of Earth's population to the uncharted reaches of the galaxy, but it was no match for this unnatural power. Aeliana felt a surge of helplessness, a rare and bitter sensation. In the cargo hold, a group of young survivors clung to whatever they could find as the ship rattled violently. Among them was Caden, a teenage prodigy whose parents had perished during the Exodus. He held a jury-rigged datapad, his mind racing as he scoured ancient Earth archives for answers to the anomaly. A faint memory of his father's voice echoed in his mind. Knowledge is the sharpest weapon. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Aeliana's resolve hardened. Activate the shield array. We can't lose this ship, not now. But just as the shields powered up, a pulse of energy erupted from the void, lancing through them like paper. The ship's systems sputtered and failed, plunging the crew into darkness. The cacophony of alarms ceased, replaced by an ominous hum that vibrated through the hull. Thane cursed under his breath. It's overriding our systems, some kind of intelligence. Then from the shadows came a guttural voice over the comms. Flee, insects, or be unmade. Aeliana's stomach dropped. This wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a deliberate attack. The void wasn't a phenomenon. It was an enemy. Prepare for impact, she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. As the ship careened toward the anomaly, Caden burst onto the bridge, clutching his datapad. Captain, I think I know what this is. But before he could explain, the Eclipse Harbor plunged into the void. Section 2, the world outside the ship became a kaleidoscope of swirling light and sound. Inside, chaos reigned. Systems flickered back to life only to short out again. The anomaly's influence was corrosive, infecting the ship like a virus, gnawing at its electronic and mechanical lifeblood.
Thane wrestled with the controls. We're through, but we're not out. Hull integrity down to 40%. Aeliana glared at the viewport, where an alien landscape loomed, a vast, desolate expanse of jagged spires and shimmering mist. The anomaly had spat them out into a place that defied comprehension. Colors that shouldn't exist bled into one another, and the horizon seemed to twist and curve unnaturally. Where are we? Whispered Leora, her voice almost drowned by the faint, otherworldly wail that seemed to come from the planet itself. Caden stepped forward, his datapad glowing faintly. It's not just a place. It's a trap. The anomaly is a lure weapon left behind by something ancient. It feeds on energy, on life. Then why are we still alive? Aeliana asked, her tone skeptical yet edged with hope. Because it's toying with us, Caden said grimly. His young face was etched with a maturity that came from living through humanity's darkest hour. Before they could process this, a piercing screech tore through the air. A massive, insect-like creature materialized from the mist, its exoskeleton shimmering with an unnatural glow. It lunged at the ship, its mandibles cracking against the hull with enough force to shake the bridge. Weapon systems online? Aeliana demanded. Not yet, Thane shouted, his hands flying over the controls. Then improvise. Aeliana snapped, gripping the emergency thruster controls herself. She fired a burst, sending the ship lurching sideways. The creature recoiled but quickly regained its composure, its multiple eyes gleaming with eerie intelligence. Leora's hands flew over her scanner. It's not just alive, it's connected to the anomaly. They're part of the same ecosystem. Then we need to get out of here, Aeliana said. But escape wasn't an option. More creatures emerged, their glowing forms swarming like locusts. The crew fought valiantly, using every resource at their disposal. But the enemy seemed endless. For every beast they managed to evade or repel, two more took its place. As hope dwindled, Caden's datapad pinged. There's a structure nearby, a beacon. If we can reach it, we might find a way to disable the anomaly. Or walk into another trap, Thane growled. But the weariness in his voice betrayed his doubt. Aeliana made the call. We don't have a choice. Set course for the beacon. The creatures pursued relentlessly, clawing at the ship as it limped toward the distant spire. Just as they reached the structure, a massive energy surge erupted, engulfing the ship in blinding light. Section 3. When the light faded, the Eclipse Harbor was inside an enormous alien construct. The walls pulsed with a faint, rhythmic glow, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant. The air was thick, humming with latent energy, and every step echoed as if the structure itself was alive. This isn't just a beacon, Leora said, in her voice. It's a ship, or a living machine. The crew disembarked cautiously, armed with what little they had. Inside, they found a vast chamber filled with strange floating orbs. As Caden approached one, it hummed to life, projecting a series of images that danced like holograms in the dim light. The crew watched in stunned silence as the story unfolded, a civilization more advanced than anything humanity had imagined, destroyed by its own creation, the anomaly. It had been designed as a weapon, but it turned on its masters, consuming them and spreading like a plague. They didn't just create the anomaly, Caden murmured, his voice filled with dread. They became it. Suddenly, the chamber shook. The anomaly's voice returned, echoing through the structure. You cannot stop the unmaking. Join us or be consumed. The orbs shattered, releasing a swarm of smaller creatures. The crew fought desperately, their weapons barely holding the creatures at bay. It was a losing battle, and they all knew it. Captain, this isn't sustainable, Thane shouted over the chaos. Aeliana's mind raced. Then she saw a central control node, pulsing with light. If we destroy that, we might disable the ship and the anomaly. It's suicide, Thane protested. It's our only shot, Aeliana said, already moving. As the crew covered her, Aeliana reached a node and prepared to detonate their last explosive charge. But before she could, the anomaly spoke again, its tone almost mournful. You're not so different from us. Do you truly believe you can escape entropy? Aeliana hesitated, the weight of the universe pressing down on her. Then, with grim determination, she activated the charge. Section 4. The explosion rocked the construct, sending shockwaves through the anomaly's realm. The creatures froze, their glowing forms flickering before collapsing into dust. The control node flickered, and for a moment, the oppressive hum of the anomaly ceased. Back on the Eclipse Harbor, the systems roared back to life. It's working, Thane shouted, his voice tinged with disbelief. But the victory was short-lived. The construct began to collapse, the anomaly's death throes threatening to take them with it. Pillars of energy arced across the chamber, disintegrating everything they touched. Get us out of here, Aeliana ordered, sprinting back to the ship. As the Eclipse Harbor launched, the void began to close. Caden worked furiously to stabilize the engines, using the alien data he downloaded from the orbs. The ship groaned under the strain, but Caden's ingenuity held it together. At the last possible second, the ship broke free, hurtling back into normal space. The crew sat in stunned silence, the weight of their survival sinking in. Leora spoke first, her voice barely above a whisper. We stopped it. But for how long? Aeliana looked out at the stars, her expression resolute. Long enough to warn the others. Behind them, the void flickered one last time before vanishing. In the vast emptiness of space, the Eclipse Harbor sailed on, battered but unbroken. And though they had won a battle, the war for humanity's survival was only beginning. Section 5. As the ship drifted through the void of space, the crew's relief began to wane, replaced by a simmering unease. Though the anomaly was seemingly destroyed, its enigmatic message continued to echo in Aeliana's mind. Entropy is inevitable. She couldn't shake the feeling that the battle had merely delayed an even greater threat. Caden was back in the lab, analyzing the alien data he'd extracted from the orbs. The holographic projections replayed fragments of an alien civilization's downfall. Cities crumbled, their skies filled with the same monstrous creatures that had plagued the Eclipse Harbor. The final frame showed a single word in an alien script, glowing ominously. Caden translated it. Seed. Captain, he said, rushing to the bridge. I think the anomaly wasn't destroyed. It's scattered. Aeliana turned to him, her expression hardening. Explain. The explosion disrupted its core, but the anomaly's essence, its intelligence dispersed like spores into the fabric of space. It's spreading, and it's looking for a new host. Thane groaned, rubbing his temples. You're saying we just made it worse? Not necessarily, Caden said. If we act quickly, we might be able to trace its remnants and neutralize them before they coalesce again. But we'll need resources and allies. Aeliana nodded. Then we'll find them. Humanity's survival isn't just about escaping, it's about fighting back. The crew set a new course, heading for an uncharted star system, rumored to house a secretive outpost of survivors. Along the way, the ship's sensors picked up faint signals, distress beacons from other ships, caught in the anomaly's wake. The Eclipse Harbor detoured to investigate, finding wreckage and scattered survivors, each with their own harrowing stories. One survivor, a cryptic engineer named Siren, claimed to have seen another anomaly forming in a nearby system. It's learning, she warned, and it's adapting. As the crew prepared for their next mission, tensions ran high. Aeliana's leadership was tested as old fears resurfaced and new alliances formed. Leora worked tirelessly to understand the biological connection between the anomaly and its creatures, while Thane coordinated repairs to the ship's weakened hull. In the quiet moments, Aeliana found herself staring out into the stars, the weight of humanity's fate pressing down on her. The war was far from over, and the price of victory was steep. But one thing was certain, they would not go quietly into the void. As the Eclipse Harbor powered up its engines, ready to face the unknown, Aeliana addressed her crew. We're not just survivors, we're humanity's last chance. Let's make it count. The ship disappeared into the stars, a lone beacon of hope in a galaxy teetering on the edge of destruction.